back, everyone, to Heroes Hype Amateur Series number 93. We have had an amazing evening so far with some very intense games, but it comes down to this, Colin. TMG Red going up against Oh My Science.
Wait, that's going to be an exciting game.
Yeah. Oh My Science features a former Even in Death alumni Battery. I had a chance to speak with him quite a bit in a recent episode of Heroes Hype Live, and he gave us some background and insight to how that team came to its current roster. Really spoke to their potential, and we've seen that going into the end of 2017. I'm sure they have not rested on their laurels at all going into the new year. They have their eye on the Open Division and the Crucible. They continue to play at the level we've seen them. But this surprise pick, the surprise TMG Red, man, they're looking like the real deal.
I was pretty impressed with the way that they played last game. A couple things that I wanted to mention that it may seem small to most people, but to me, it's huge because I know the pressures of these shot callers under certain situations. So I liked the way that TMG Red manipulated their lanes last game. I liked the way that they were able to be dynamic about the way they were playing their comp, and we saw almost like a binary switch in their playstyle where they're like, yes, we can take these fights, and then they started just hard engaging. We saw that Anubarak, you were saying he was like from downtown, right? Like he was going over walls, talking about like I was taking buses downtown, like in order to get like picks on some heroes. Like it was ridiculous. Like the stuff that that TMG Red's Warrior was doing was actually fantastic. And of course, the last play that they made in order to close out the game, TMG Red had options. They could have gotten top boss off that fight. Okay, they could have just gotten all waves pushed up, maybe even taken enemy hards, and then got another turn in and looked to end the game there. But their shot caller said, we're ending the game bottom right now. And I know maybe from our point of view, it looked like it was an easy call to make. It's never that easy because potentially that could lose them game, right? The game. So I liked the fact that it was so fast. All of TMG Red just went bottom and ended the game. And I just wanted to highlight that, even though, it's not something that's too crazy. I'm happy with the decisiveness of their shot caller.
I'm going to point this out, Kala. This is an objectively true statement. Kala is the coach of one of the top teams on the planet. Played on the BlizzCon stage. So if you're able to impress this guy, you're doing right things. But we have heard from our good old-fashioned Argy. They just don't make him like that guy anymore.
No.
Oh My Science have elected to take us to Dragonshire. Really excited to see how this plays out. I think this is one of those battlegrounds that on its surface looks like, there's a lot of scrap, team fighting, skirmishing over the points in top and bottom. But I feel like this is one of the most nuanced as far as rotations go. And it's going to pose an interesting challenge for TMG Red.
And of course, it's one of those maps where traditionally you get a 1v1 as well. And I'm a sucker for the 1v1s, man. I really am. I like just seeing how these solo laners play out their matchups. So I'm excited to see that. And also, this map has a neutral bruiser camp. And of course, with the changes to those camps, you get spell armor. So you can push so darn hard on this map. Again, it is quite snowbally in some ways if you're able to capitalize and take those camps. So again, like macro-wise, this map is even stronger than it was before because you can really, really take those advantages during the early game. So I'm excited to see how both these teams play. And so far, they've shown picks that are just explosive and fun to watch. TMG Red has at least. This is going to be a good game.
You make a really good point. Explosive is about the perfect word for me to describe this map, especially against two high-level teams. As far as momentum swings go, a lane that features two siege camps and one of these new and improved bruiser camps, you don't want to lose a team fight around level 15 on this battleground decisively, because next thing you know, you're looking down this insurmountable siege force looking at your top keep. So it's going to be pretty high stakes. We're getting everyone into the lobby now. My cat, say hi. Hi, Rowboat.
Hello, Tugboat. Nice boy.
You still call him Tugboat.
It's an old meme, but I think it checks out.
Oh, no. Judges will allow it. But we're all here in the lobby. TMG Red have definitely surprised me. In the earlier portions of Heroes Hype Amateur Series, it's a best of one. So when you're going up against a team that features two of the Heroes of the Dorm winners 2017 and you see a team beat them, you kind of wonder maybe like did they use some kind of cheese strat? Did they pull Sylvanas out of their hat somewhere? Did like a random Cho'Gall Abathur show up? Something that just is off the wall and like gets you by a team. I was worried that we'd see something like that, but TMG's like, no, we just actually play the game straight up and we just win team fights. So,
which I also really like because a team that we haven't really seen before, when they just show up and they just play standard like that and just body their opponents, like that's fantastic. It really is. When you see like the random Cho'Gall picks or like you see a one-off Abathur comp, it's really fun to watch and stuff like that. But you are right, like it kind of puts you in that position where it's like, is this team a one-trick kind of like cheese team? Because that is certainly a possibility. So this mini series here is going to prove to be a challenge for both these teams, I think, especially for TMG Red, because I do think that the members of Oh My Science have a little bit more experience behind them, right? They have, like you said, Battery, who used to play for Even in Death.
Dark Chimera.
And there you go. And Dark Chimera, yeah. So just people with a lot of experience. We've seen Troy 1010 around so often. Saryu as well. So, yeah. Yeah,
and like I said, when we got a chance to talk to Battery and HeroesHype Live, this is a team that's hungry. They come out of their experience with Even in Death, wanting back into the HGC. They've practiced and prepared for those moments, getting opportunities to play against some of these other top teams. I would not at all be surprised to see TMG show up in the conversation going into the Open Division playoffs. I wouldn't be surprised to see Oh My Science go into the Open Division playoffs. All the teams we've seen tonight, we could be very well looking at the next future stars of the North American amateur scene and beyond into the HGC. So these early instances, before things get refined, before the pressure is really on, this is where you want to be.
Absolutely. Waiting on one member here to join up on the lobby, and then we're going to start the first of a couple exciting games, perhaps even a few. What kind of comps do you think we're gonna see? Like, do you think we're gonna see maybe like splits? Do you think it'll be a 3-1-1? Do you think it'll be a 2-1-2? What do you think's gonna happen? Or do you think these are gonna be standard 4-man rotations on the bottom side and then the one solo lane? I hope we see standard. I really do.
I think we'll definitely see standard out of TMG Red. It's something that they've shown that they know how to do very well.
Yeah.
Oh My Science, they, to me, are scientists in their ability to innovate the meta. Again, speaking with Battery, I know that his is a team that looks for innovation and surprising things, hidden diamonds in the rough as far as strategies, synergies, compositions, and things like that. So if we're going to see anything off the wall, it might come from them. But that is not to say that they aren't able to play standard themselves. I think they're very much capable of doing that also. So I don't know if I'm on either side of this. It's not like you can take a ban that's supposed to limit someone's hero pool just because both of these teams seem to have depth. So I would just look to ban out stuff that I didn't feel like playing again.
But hey, speaking of off the wall, I hope we see some Hanzo. Maybe we'll see some Lucio. Maybe.
Off the wall.
You get him. Yeah.
Hey.
No, personally not as excited to see Lucio, but he is a fantastic hero. But I'm just excited to see Hanzo. New heroes, I get stoked, especially him. I've been playing a lot of him, and I just really like watching him, really like casting him now. So, yeah, we're just about to start this game, though. Jump into draft. You said Oh My Science selected this map, so...
Yep.
TMG
so that means...
will have the luxury of first pick, first ban.
Man. And here we go. Welcome, without any further ado, to Dragonshine. Again, this is a battleground that features a lot of early skirmishes, but it also rotation and prioritization is very important. First pick, first ban here for TMG Red. Again, both of these teams do not seem to be limited in their hero pools.
No.
So we might just learn more about what these teams don't feel like dealing with, and that's who they look to ban out.
So last time TMG Red banned off the Chromie as their first pick, correct? Because they picked a pretty squishy backliner in the Hanzo. I'm not sure if they would do the same thing here. Maybe they'll ban something that can really get onto heroes like that, or perhaps ban off something that just dominates the 4-man. You can see ETC bans, you can see Stukov bans. maybe even like a Greymane or a Genji TMG Red could look at banning off, but it totally depends on what they feel like picking up as their first pick.
I gotta look something up. I got completely off the rails.
Okay.
So get the Genji ban. But
Okay.
something I'm not surprised to see is a complete lack of Garrosh. I was wondering if he would potentially show up with the Q change. I had to look up this character's name. Garrosh is Dave McFly. Marty McFly's older brother who vanished out of the photograph when history was changed. He went from being first pick, first ban, almost always, at least in Hero League, to just where did he go? Who is he?
My
Stop
opinion about
existing.
Garrosh is not really a common one in the scene, because most people are actually pretty happy with what happened to Garrosh. And I personally think it was bad. I liked the way that Garrosh was. I loved how punishing he was. I also felt like he was very open to counter engage. Like, there's so many tools you could build to deal with the Garrosh. Like, other regions didn't even take him seriously. Like, Europe didn't run Garrosh. Like, they didn't care about him. So I really don't like what they did to Garrosh, but that's just myself. I personally enjoyed watching him. His games were intense and very fast paced, but Oh My Science decided to take away the ETC. We did mention that, and the Greymane is picked up for TMG Red. So very, not predictable, but these were picks that we were talking about.
Absolutely. ETC gets a ton of value either through Mosh Pit or Stage Dive. Globals get value on a battleground like Dragonshire. I think it would really behoove Oh My Science to take Arthas in the 1-2, but I don't know. They want old frog face Lucio to zip around the map, and they're gonna give you your old trigonometry lesson in Hanzo.
By the looks of it, Oh My Science already displaying a very strong knowledge of how this meta works. Like, Hanzo can deal with those bottom side siege camps, like pick them up very easily for his team. Lucio controls that 4-man so very well. Greymane also can satisfy the same condition as Hanzo, picks up those camps with relative ease and does really well in the 4-man too. But I really like these pickups from Oh My Science.
I do too. If I'm on the side of TMG Red, if I'm not taking Arthas here in my 2-3, he's banned. Like, he's just gone. Because I want my Greymane to go off. TMG Red used this hero to great effect last go round. And I would look to do it again, especially against an opponent of the caliber of Oh My Science. I would also look to pick up a support of my choosing as well here, seeing how Lucio's already snapped up. That could be something you'd be limited on. But no, they want the front line set up. With Murden, with ETC being banned, it definitely puts some priority on Murden, in my opinion. And they want in the solo lane. I get it.
So that's a lot of backline dive. They've already shown that they want to run the leap on Sonya. Maybe they won't here, but it is something that they've already shown, right? And the Murden, yeah. So the Murden a little bit different from the Anubarak, but again, like, there we go. Okay, perfect. So I'm surprised to see TMG Red, seeing as how they've shown so much effectiveness with the Anubarak, that they wouldn't pick up something like the Stukov, considering how the Lucio is already locked in. I really feel like it's just such a fantastic response into the Lucio, but they go with the Murden over it. So obviously, they know what they're doing, but that was definitely one different avenue they could have gone.
I agree. I 100% agree. I feel like the Murden pick to take him this early, again, it's a nod towards the ETC ban, but it says to me that TMG Red wants to take this battleground as more of a marathon than a sprint. Some of the things that Murden does well is stepping out of a short engagement, using his value out of his trait, and then coming back at like 80% health while the enemy team is still staggering to recover. I think that's something he excels really well in, and that's something that TMG Red wants to employ. So now, I get it.
With the Malthael banned out, who's really the response solo laner? Is it just the Dahaka? It's pretty standard. I feel like that's probably what it would be. Something Zeratul can operate in the solo lane as well. He doesn't do too well against the Sonya, but there's the Dahaka, and the Anubarak is a response. So I like this. Now, obviously, TMG Red are probably going to pick up the Malfurion very quickly. They've already played it, and it's one of the best supports just left in the pool that are available. With the Stukov banned out, the Lucio picked up.
Absolutely. I'm wondering if they might be incentivized to go for Tychus here. They had to deal with it last game. Of course, they won that game. But there's something to be said about dealing with high health pool heroes like Dahaka. Anubarak's one of the more squishy warriors, so you don't necessarily have to do that. But they need some backline punch, and they also need their support. Lucio, Stukov taken off the board. I do not feel like Brightwing would have enough sustain in this instance to really deal with Hanzo in the late game. So do they Yeah, I'm with you. They got to go Malfurion here, right?
Yeah, definitely Malfurion, but the last pickup is an interesting one. I seriously feel like it has to be a high damage mage. I think a Zeratul could work well here. I think a Nova could work well here. Okay, there's a high damage mage right there in the Li Ming. Very curious that they decided to go with the Kharazim over the Malfurion, though. That is definitely something I didn't expect. Maybe they're just looking at separating the Anubarak as best as they can and just getting, you know, like a one-shot combination, but I love the fact that they went with Li Ming.
My prediction here, Colin, this is 100% a leap game for Sonya. Yep. The moment Anubarak tries to disengage, if he uses his E defensively, Kharazim, Sonya, and Murden are jumping in on his face.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
With Greymane right behind. And it's gonna hurt.
I agree with you. I wonder, is it the Medivh pickup for Oh My Science? TMG Red have shown that they're just looking at blowing somebody up. They've got the Kharazim, they got the Sonya, which they run leap on. Well, at least they've showed that they run leap on. They've got the Greymane, who's really good at blowing up a target. I feel like a Medivh could be insane here, but I don't know if this team plays it. So Oh My Science just waiting on that last pick. And it's the Tychus.
And it is going to be the Tychus. I mean, you're going up against Sonya. That's a beefy front line, especially going into the late game. I understand why you'd want some percentage-based damage. You also want someone to be relatively safe. Tychus does have his E for mobility. While we're getting ready for this game, shout out to Loves the Bubble for subscribing 2 months in a row. Thank you for the continued support for HeroesHype. Don't use the Hal Naz evil, please. Thank you.
There it is. Immediately wrecked. Lamau.
GG.
So what do you think about the Tychus? Do you think it was the right call?
I think it's going to define this game. If Tychus doesn't get a ton of value, for Anubarak to either engage or stay on the front line. If Murden and Sonya are able to deal with whatever he has to bring to the table, if he gets storm bolted and leapt on, and Sound Barrier comes in late, because again, we saw TMG Red vanish Gul'dan off the map.
Oh yeah,
way before Sound Barrier would have come into play.
Yep.
So if Tychus doesn't have a field day, this game is going to be rough. That's my prediction.
No, I think that could be true. Both of these comps pretty much have similar values, right? Except for the global is in Oh My Science's favor. So if they're able to use that to their best abilities and just control camps as best as they can, they do have the Hanzo for that. I think that Oh My Science can come up in this laning phase because they definitely have more wave clear, I believe. Yeah, I would say so. Well, it's pretty equal, but yeah, we'll have to see.
It's come down to this, the best of 3 finals of HeroesHype Amateur Series number 93. On the left, we have Oh My Science. Hacho's burrowing on Anubarak. Battery's playing Tychus. Dark Chimera's playing Lucio. Troy 1010's on Hanzo. And Suryu will be looking to drag on Doc.
And on the right, we got TMG Red. It's Fire Team on Kharazim. Shade on Sonya. Time playing the Li Ming. TMG Doctor on that Murden. And Azariel playing Greymane.
Looking to go. Hacho gets stormed in the peak. And before he can think, before the neurons fire in his brain to press the E key to burrow away, he's gone.
Keep in mind, that was through Nerubian armor. I do believe he selected that talent before the Stormbolt went, so if that's not indicative of the blow-up potential of TMG Red, I don't know what is.
I mean, that's pretty much like Ron Howard voice narration. This game might be rough. I mean, Hacho just decided to step in the Stormbolt lands, tries to E out of there. The follow-up engagement is absolutely serious, and Battery breathes a sigh of relief. Doesn't even bother using it well. He's going back home.
Very, very close. TMG Doctor just jumps in with the Q, and Battery doesn't even attempt to dodge it. So perhaps TMG Doctor is in Battery's head at this point already. If not, that was just a really good read by Doctor.
Doctor's been playing out of his mind in the frontline position. He put up a heck of a showing on Anubarak, and now he's landing these storm bolts to great effect. He jumps over, avoids the burrow, showing he has the ability to micromanage these abilities. I'm becoming more and more impressed with this play.
Oh My Science, so they don't have the global here, so the global does come in and Doctor gets chunked out massively, so they sacrifice the global to come down and they pick up the siege camp from TMG Red. But meanwhile, look at top lane. The members of Oh My Science are going to lose some soak, but I don't think it's enough to say it's anything substantial.
I think that was something that for the mental capacities and faculties of Oh My Science that they had to do. They had to show some kind of aggression because right now these storm bolts are almost leading to certain death from TMG Red. Showing that they know how to make decisions, that they can force out a response is going to be very important for them. The drag does miss. Suryu looking to follow up. Battery vaults forward, and the boop is not enough to secure the first blow.
So this engage top shows 3 members of Oh My Science, but TMG Red actually not doing anything with it. Doctor just still sitting in this mid lane clearing it out. Meanwhile, Troy managed to get their siege camp. So Oh My Science, though down a little bit in experience because of that 1 kill and a little bit of the wave there, has a lot of laning pressure.
Hacho ventures forward, goes over the bottom shrine. There's the burst after the storm bolt, and Li Ming says the realm needs me. Ouch.
So, you know, off of grabbing their siege camp, they just, I wouldn't say completely waste it, but it's going to push into the middle of the lane here, and TMG Red are going to clear it with relative ease. Meanwhile, we spoke about this in the draft here, TMG Red picking up bottom side neutral hard camp. This is going to push so very hard on the bottom side. Oh My Science don't have a lot of tools to deal with it. It's definitely going to take at least 1 tower.
Oh My Science is going to wish they had 7 players on the map to deal with all the pressure that they're dealing with right now. Taika's going to try to get the interrupt, but that might not hold for long. The Haka is going to be able to hold on to this top shrine and stall out the first potential Dragon Knight of the evening. But right now, Kylo, we're seeing a TMG Red who are really working the mech.
TMG Red's hard camp got trolled so hard by the siege camp of Oh My Science. It actually turned aggro onto the bruiser camp there and ended up DPSing with it. So huge RNG value for Oh My Science. That hard camp only actually got half of a tower against what I thought it would get. So nice job there, PvE.
You know, all things considered, though, Oh My Science are holding their own relatively well. They're down 2 takedowns. They're even on experience. There's the Storm Bolt. There's the Burst. Troy 10-10 finds himself the brand new recipient of an orb to the back of the face. And he goes down. But, meanwhile, at the Legion of Doom, Taika steals away the Dragon.
Yeah, they do trade the single kill for the Dragon Knight. Oh My Science actually going to be coming up off of that. Look at the damage from this Dragon Knight. Clearing mid structures, probably going to rotate bottom as well. Hacho also just trying to push in this wave as much as he can so that this Dragon Knight can maybe get some value down there. But Dragon Knight actually getting massively chunked out, and Tychus is just going to head top and probably just escape here. But meanwhile, Sonya gets rotated on and goes down.
Sonya found themselves a long way from home in the middle. Connected. That's going to pave the first takedown in the game for Oh My Science after they were already able to successfully obtain the first objective. They're not resting on their laurels at all. They send Troy and Dark Chimera over to pick up this bruiser camp. This could be a potential avenue back in this game because Kylo, they're slightly ahead in experience right now. Who knows?
I can tell TMG Red are feeling a little bit more pressured than they need to. Doctor keeps showing on these waves as Murd trying to clear it out. The wave clear just isn't there for TMG Red. You know, they were on their siege camp just trying to pick that up, but with Doctor showing on the wave, it allows Oh My Science to take whatever they want. Look, they're just invading. They know where Doctor is. He was positioned on the bottom side, so they're able to pressure everywhere. And look at top. It's going to be pushing in very soon here. So Oh My Science actually putting quite the grip on the map.
Oh My Science showing grace and poise under overwhelming pressure at the beginning of the game. Now they find themselves clawing their way back into the driver's seat. Battery, Suryu hanging out up top. Shade could potentially be baited out past the tower wall. Not to be. Suryu could have dragged them out of there and looked to make something happen. Spear goes in on Suryu's face, but this advance in the top lane is still real.
Dark Chimera very close to getting chunked out there, but the spells from Li Ming just didn't quite connect at the right time. Doctor actually dismounted, getting chased down by Dark Chimera. There's the dig, but a few misses, so it's all good. But a little bit of a skirmish up top. Suryu in a lot of trouble, and he goes down.
I bet he wished that burrow lasted for 19 seconds. He was sitting there. Monka S ultimately gets taken down. That's going to be the 4th for TMG Red as the next set of shrines activate. Battery hanging out back behind the wall, just cold chilling. Level 10 is picked up. We got the Cocoon. We got Odin, got Isolation. We're going for the bobblehead, boys. I like that. Dragon's Arrow and the jury's. I was about to say, there's no way he's going reverse amp. I don't even know why you wait.
And so far, out of all of the builds that we've seen this evening, I really do like Troy 1010's the best in terms of Hanzo. So it's got the redemption for auto attacks. You know, it's a little bit more difficult for Troy to get auto attacks on this composition, but mainly the preference on the W build here for Hanzo. I do think it's the strongest one, and we can just see this damage coming out from it. It is quite substantial, the most on his team at this point.
Huge engagement, though. There's the shish kebab from Li Ming after a nice amount of burst. We do see the cocoon get used to dissuade the further engagement. Nice response there by Oh My Science. Bottom shrine held so far by the team in red. Up top, blues hanging on to that one. Trading barbs using heroics, but no takedowns just yet. But Kyle, look at the top part of the screen. Sonya's got leap, but oh no, Dark Chimera.
He finds the heroic to just get himself away. Seiryu now coming in on this, manages to get the silence onto Karazim. So Battery now looking for some kills, finds Fire Team and gets the kill onto Karazim. One kill going over to Oh My Science. They're looking for more, but they're not gonna be able to find it. The disengage from TMG is there, but now the pressure from Oh My Science is on this bottom lane. They're looking at structures.
You gotta applaud the positioning of Battery. The initial burst was not able to net a takedown for the team in red, so Battery started putting the absolute screws the time on Li Ming, and that set up the second takedown for them. They definitely came out with the upper hand in that progression. They need to take team fights like that, where they're not losing someone right away, and then they look to get on the back line afterwards.
I agree. So nice job there by Oh My Science. And meanwhile, of course, top lane, Seiryu is actually winning this trade a little bit. No heroic, though. There goes the leap. Few auto attacks, but Shade. Oh, the tongue lands onto a minion. So Battery with the rotation, that's going to be enough to secure the kill onto Sonya. So now, Oh My Science are going to be able to pick up both of these shrines, probably, if they can make these rotations properly.
Battery got tagged in like the freaking Heart Foundation, goes in for the clothesline and the on Sonya for the third takedown. Time finds himself low on health, but the Divine Palm connects. They're going to be able to jump out of there. Cocoon getting full value on Karazim's face. Seiryu comes out, misses the bobblehead on Karazim, and time comes back off the ropes with that orb. Oh no.
That re-engage was absolutely fantastic. Time managing to juke out of that cocoon with her E, so really nice job by TMG to turn that team fight. But 13's coming in soon for Oh My Science. Dark Chimera actually gets caught out. TMG Doctor looking for that pickup, but the speed is enough, and now is Ariel in a small amount of trouble, but actually the damage is turning onto a new Brack, so both these teams just kind of disengaging from each other.
Dark Chimera is like, whoo, got a little close for comfort there. Anytime you see the word stunned over someone's head, it could be lights out. But Dark Chimera does hold on to this bottom, or he's trying to take this bottom shrine back for Troy 10-10. Fire Team does some basic math. He's like, well, there's two here. I'm by myself. I'm backing out.
And it is noteworthy that the palm is here. Obviously, we've seen it used already, but so that blow up potential for TMG Red isn't there as much because the 7 side isn't available. But Fire Team is showing why he picks this palm. So far, fantastic use of the ability.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they're like, we don't really need 7 side fight too much with how quickly we're deleting people. Hot Show's low on health, almost going to be able to get taken down. The Doctor jumps out to his own safety. Fire Team dashes up to help Ezariel get out of there, but oh no! Dark Chimera pulls one heck of a Billy Mays impersonation. Is like, but wait! There's more!
Well memed, my friend. Meanwhile, topside, Sonya is just pushing as hard as she can. The rotation, double rotation again from Battery and Seiryu coming up, but they were seen on that minion wave, so I don't anticipate Sonya getting in trouble.
Seiryu goes up there, wants to get the handle on that top shrine, potentially paving the way for the second Dragon Knight. Dark Chimera says you gotta go fast. The long range throw from Hacho connects. The Impale follow-up, but Troy 10-10 not in position to capitalize, so time is gonna be okay. Dragon Knight again snapped though.
Time is getting out of the stickiest situations on the planet. I swear, these E's are fantastic, but you're right. Dragon Knight picked up, and now Oh My Science looking at even more structures in this mid, perhaps bottom lane, especially with that siege camp pushing in.
The long range poke from Hanzo interrupts Fire Team, leaves them out of sorts, and oh no! The suspense violin plays once more. Turns out burst damage is a whole thing.
Murden just comes from the bushes. How are ya? With the Stormbolt, immediate blow up onto Hanzo. So TMG Red show that yeah, they've been taking a little bit of beatings in some of these fights, but they're not out of the woods. They're ready to keep fighting.
The Doctor is coming in, man. Anytime we see these Stormbolts, more often than not, somebody's going home. There's a storm on for you, leaning, not gonna be able to be there to follow up. The leap. The zoning leap for the yeah. I can't even swing it. I'm sorry, Shade, I tried.
It was maybe it was the speed from Dark Chimera. He thought he was going to juke back the other way, but that was definitely a missed engagement opportunity, and one they desperately needed, as we do see the 16 talent tiers coming in for Oh My Science. They're looking at invading. This is when they start really taking control of this map. They invade enemy hards. Those are going to be pushing out pretty hard, actually, because of the lack of structures on the top side of the map. So lots of pressure from Oh My Science, and no fights can be taken from TMG Red at this point.
And you're not going to be able to ignore those for too long. Up in the top lane, being down a fort, Hotshow goes fishing, is not able to pull anyone out of that. But with this power play tier advantage, we're going to see Oh My Science continue make themselves at home, hanging out on the opposite side of the map.
So, Oh My Science, they can't really just like force up onto these structures very well. They don't really have the composition for it. What I'd like to see them do in this case is back up, get their hard camp, make sure top is cleared quite well, and then take bottom neutrals so that you have pressure top, you have pressure bottom. Then all they have to do is just cap bottom, rotate mid. They'll have top cap with the Dahaka, and they can grab DK again, and I think that translates into a keep. But here comes a fight.
Azariel tried to put the screws to Troy 1010, but he uses heroic for the disengage there. A somewhat valuable resource taken off the board for Hanzo. Could potentially lead to some bigger things if there's another short-term engagement. Down in the bottom lane, we're going to see Oh My Science help themselves to this bruiser camp. And all this is doing is buying time for level 16
there
to
you
get picked up. But oh no, the dinosaur gets done dirty in the bottom lane.
Very bold move to step up that far, especially when you don't have vision of the bush above you. You know, Doctor, he shows that if you give him a bush, he's going to get you. So they gave him the bush and he got him. So now TMG Red, they hit the 16. They're now looking to do what their opponents just did to them. They're invading the enemy siege camp, and they're ready to put the pressure on.
Doctor's like, what did we learn? He jumps into the bush, sees he can spot Battery, who had the presence of mind to back away. Dismounts Doctor, so there's no potential engagement there either. But Bruiser Camp is going to get picked up. Next set of Dragonshire Temples are going to be available. Doc will be back to business and is going to be able to burrow thanks to his global pressure. So I don't think we're going to see like a quickly stolen Dragonite.
No, definitely not. It's going to result, I think the DK, again, is going to result in a team fight. But so far, Oh My Science have just done a great job with their global to secure them so far. But we'll see if they can do it again. Oh, there goes the leap again, but it just fizzles. Shade just not on point with these so far this game. Perhaps it's nerves, perhaps not. But if they do find one of those, I do feel like it's going to translate into a lot of success for TMG Red.
I can't help but agree. Shade's been looking somewhat amphibious going in his late game with these early leaps. I think he needs to just wait for Stormbolt to come out and connect, and it's going to be point click simple to land the follow-up. Should buy enough time for Li Ming and Greymane to close someone out, but with Leap being taken off the board, we're going to see Oh My Science to try their luck to get the drag on Ezreal, and the bobblehead closes out Greymane early in this team fight.
What a fantastic combination, and to follow it up, there is the drag onto Doctor, looking to try to pick him up as well. I'm not sure the timing on his E, but they actually get it with the Impale. Fantastic combination from Oh My Science. They pick up 3 kills. Now they're pushing bottom lane. They can clean this up very quickly, go grab the DK, and this is definitely going to translate into a keep.
Oh My Science transformed into a steamroller through the bottom lane and gets 3 takedowns for their trouble. Impressive interrupts on the jump. The lock Merlin in place. This is going to be another Dragon Knight in favor of the blue team. Level 20, not too far off the board, especially after this bottom keep gets taken down. And they can look for the knockout punch with the Dragon Knight to follow up. Could this be the game-ending play, Collar?
It's against a Greymane, and it's against a Sonya and a Li Ming. So TMG Red do have the opportunity to turn this into their favor. Dahaka is in the Dragon Knight, but keep in mind, he doesn't have his heroic up for another, what is it? Oh no, he does have it up. Isolation is available. Sorry, my mistake. So this could definitely be the game as long as TMG Red don't find any explosive kills, and it looks like they're going for it.
Sound Barrier is going to connect. Azariel low and health catches the Divine Palm the core down at 69% and rapidly falling. The Dragonite at half health. Shed joints into the back line, but I think it's all Jazz hands. Looks like the core is going to fall. Oh My Science have done it. They close out game number 1.
Excellent game. TMG Red just needed to find that fight faster than they did. The shields were already well on their, they had actually been destroyed before TMG started engaging on Oh My Science there. They had to find that kill earlier, but they just weren't able to do it. So Oh My Science did a really great job at generating map pressure and then just digging, like onto those fights. Last fight was a perfect example. They brush stalked onto the bottom side when they already had so much pressure top. So TMG Red was just losing everywhere on the map. That Tahaka pick was just paying dividends.
It definitely got some momentum going in their favor. Again, Oh My Science's ability to recover and respond paved the way to their victory. But Kyla, I gotta take a moment. Even though TMG Red go down game 1, best of 3, I saw time on Li Ming hit the frame perfect teleport to interrupt the cocoon.
Was that what it was?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Times
on the cooldown.
Yeah, times Li Ming was insane. Yeah, that was so good. And there's a couple times where she just escaped just near death with really good teleports. So fantastic play by the Li Ming there.
In a lot of ways, Kyla, this is what I expected out of both of these teams. Oh My Science, there are no slouches. They have high HGC level ambitions. TMG Red have roared out of the gate, showing us impressive play from the beginning of the night since we saw them up until right now. Their ability to lock in burst is terrifying.
Yeah.
Like, Hacho walked into that bush at the beginning of the game, and I thought he was Uther because all you saw was a ghost walk out afterwards. It was just like, oh.
Don't worry, man. I thought somebody was Uther earlier tonight too, so we're both mistaken.
It's like, boom. He was just gone. Yeah. So if you are a team that can consistently lay on that kind of pressure, get in that kind of burst damage, you can never be counted out of a series.
I loved the way that Oh My Science just kind of predicted the map movements of TMG Red. Twice when TMG was looking at picking up their hard camps, Oh My Science was there. Just even to threaten one body coming over the edge like that, just showing vision. How many are there? You don't know. They're missing off the map. Is that 3? Is that 4? We don't know. Brush stock is available. So like those sort of plays can happen for Oh My Science as well. Very, very early into the game. As soon as I think it was like right at the 1 minute mark, TMG's Greymane went to look for their easy camp, and immediately Oh My Science catch. They walk through mid and they find that rotation. They rip the teleport bottom and they end up getting that siege camp. So stuff like that, just really good map movements by Oh My Science to deny the strengths that TMG Red have.
It was really impressive on both sides. Kyle, let me know if this is a fair assessment.
Okay, let's go.
Oh My Science features 2 players that were in HGC on Even in Death. They have experience, so they respond to pressure and falling behind rather well. On the other side, we see TMG Red, a team that's showing boundless potential, but may not necessarily have that same kind of experience. Early on, they were getting the burst damage, they were looking scary. But towards the end, we saw some early leaps, some missed opportunities, the follow wasn't there. Could this be an instance where nerves are coming into play, where they're starting to feel pressure?
I do think
Oh My Science are better. They're more accustomed to that, so they continue to operate well under pressure, whereas TMG Red just may not have the experience yet.
I mainly saw it in the Sonya, and it can happen to anyone, right? So I'm not singling out any players here, but I did mainly see it in the Sonya. We did see some missed leaps that I actually think would have translated into fantastic kills and also pushes off of that. So like bottom, for an example, when the leap went on to it missed on the Lucio, and top it missed on Lucio, I believe, as well. But both of those would have resulted in walls for sure. I think maybe they had wall at bottom. Perhaps that was a fort then. So like lots of picks like that were missed, unfortunately. And I do think that those are mainly nerves because, this is a player that it's not insanely difficult to hit leap, but you do have to read your opponents. And if your opponents are in your head, it becomes increasingly difficult to read them.
Absolutely. If I'm on the side of TMG, I would just take a moment to remind myself and my team to just reset.
Yep.
Saw them. They had the ability to get that lockdown, to get that burst in, to blow somebody up. And it's like they kind of forgot that going into the late game. Like, as the turns are happening, it's like we're engaged and we're backing away, we're turning back in. It's very easy to lose sight of, as you like to call it, your win condition. But if you just keep that in mind, it's like, all right, wait for the Stormbolt. Doctor's been landing these like a sniper all game. Anytime he lands a storm bolt, we leap on that, we throw all our abilities at that, and someone goes away. If they kept that in mind, I think they would have fared better.
I think you're right, and I feel like individually TMG Red do have the members that can match up to Oh My Science, but right now they are just getting a little bit beat on the team and macro end of things. So we got BOE. This is a macro intensive and skirmish intensive map. We'll see if TMG Red can, as you said, reset and come into this game strong. I wonder what kind of drafts we're going to see.
Well, this is a battleground of Oh My Science's choosing. Going into the second game, TMG Red said, hey, we want first pick again. We want to be able to set the tone as far as how we approach the draft. We saw them do very well with a specific set of heroes, I'd say. They've definitely branched out some in the last game. If I'm Doctor, I wouldn't be mad about getting murdered again.
No.
I'll tell you that one.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, we saw the Li Ming a little bit different. We saw the Karazim instead of the Malfurion that we were mentioning. And I actually thought the Karazim was fantastic. It really was. It didn't get the kills that they were looking for, and maybe some roots in those scenarios might have, but let's not even get started. Like, those Divine Palms were fantastic, right? And also there's a point where Fireteam on the Karazim was skirmishing bottom lane in a 2v1 situation and actually managing to out-trade. I think it was Troy and Dark Chimera, so just really good job by Fireteam with playing that Karazim. So he's playing flashy.
Who knew? Who knew? But we're all here in the lobby. Looks like we're ready to get underway. If I'm on TMG Red, I'd be eager to jump back into the game.
Oh, yeah.
Because I feel like in a lot of ways, how they handle themselves under pressure is going to do a lot to determine this game. Oh My Science, in my experience from what I've seen, is a very consistent team. They play at a high level no matter what. But we've seen like flashes of brilliance out of TMG Red, and we've also seen instances where maybe nerves are getting to them. So if they're able to pull together, we could very well be looking at game number 3. But the steady and true performance of Oh My Science could make the next game the last one of the night.
Absolutely. And as you say, let's jump into BOE and get started here. You did say that Oh My Science selected the map, so TMG Red do get first pick and first ban. I wonder what they're going to go with.
Well, Kyle, I got a question for you. Based on the performance of last game, oh no, this is going to ban out Genji. I was going to say, are there any heroes that Oh My Science picked last game that did well enough that you feel that they deserve the ban?
No. Dahaka is really good on this map, and Oh My Science did control a lot of the macro game, so perhaps the Dahaka might be worth getting rid of, but Oh My Science is a team that could play the Abathur too, so it's like you ban off the Dahaka, then they pick the Abathur, and it's like, oh, how do we deal with this? Oh crap, we can't. You know, like, and then they pretty much just lose the game off of that, in my opinion. So I'm glad that they just decide to ban off a hero that's just high in volatility, like the Genji, because in the right hands, of course, Genji can just completely dominate a game.
Absolutely. We've seen his lights out capability just tonight. Anytime you see someone with low health bars and he jumps over the wall and breaks out that Ginsu knife, it can get rough, but they first pick Hanzo.
Okay. Hanzo is great on this map, obviously, because of his immortal race, but there are other heroes that can also race the immortal very well. First picking the Hanzo basically it lets your opponents know, like, okay, all you have to do is just pick some hard dive and we're going to absolutely counter you. So there are so many picks here that Oh My Science can go with that can completely shut them down. At the same time, the Genji ban is, you know, it basically just shows exactly why they banned the Genji.
Definitely adds context.
Yeah.
We saw some impressive Anubarak play last game. If I'm looking at Hanzo, I'm like, I need to get to the back line. I don't need to pick Anubarak early. I can definitely keep that in my pocket for later on. Greymane also excels at diving towards the back line, excels on this battleground as far as racing down the immortal. Lucio can bring a lot to the table as well. A well-timed sound barrier can turn the tide of any team fight. That's a really strong pair of heroes to take, I think.
I think so too. Greymane provides so much race, and they picked up this race early too against this Hanzo. So I like that Oh My Science picked up that the Greymane this early. So now if you're TMG Red, what are you looking for? Like, you need a way of defending this Hanzo. So now they do have the palm for the engages of Oh My Science, and they also have this comfort pick in Sonya. If it ain't broke, which I don't think it is. Don't fix it.
But you know what surprises me about this color? Karazim in the 2-3? A strong hero. We definitely saw why last game, but is he high enough in the meta and priority that he should be taken now? Were they that concerned about him being banned out in the second round that they take him now?
I think they're just doing it for the race. So Hanzo races like crazy. Karazim has the highest race out of any support in the game. So I think that's why they're going with it. All they want to do is be like, yeah, rip Rhaegar. All they want to do is just get these immortals and try to win the game that way. That's what I see personally. Also, twofold, the Karazim, as I was saying, it helps alleviate the weaknesses of the Hanzo. So I like what TMG Red's doing, and of course they've expressed comfortability with these heroes already. So I'm into it.
I get it. I totally get it. The other angle is, do they have some wacky choice at the back end of this draft that they want to take their support now? And then these last two heroes is just off the wall? I wouldn't mind seeing that.
Yeah, personally. I wouldn't either. But oh my science, they're going to pick up their warrior here for sure, because they want to take the next best warrior before TMG Red picks it up next. I also anticipate the solo laner coming in as well, because they don't really need to flex it for the Sonya. So there's the warrior. Actually, they pick up their mage instead in the Li Ming. I like this Li Ming Grey Ming combination. It is a good answer to the Hanzo and Karazim so far.
It's a multifaceted decision, in my opinion, and really speaks to their level of intelligence in the game. Li Ming is a denial pick from a very effective TMG Red. Their ability to delete people with Li Ming was definitely on display last game, so you take that away. But Li Ming also brings a lot on this battleground as far as consistent poke at a relatively safe distance.
Yep.
Anytime the immortal race staggers out where both teams are defending, Li Ming just starts applying pressure, throwing in those safe magic missiles and chipping them down, and it's going to force out a response that could lead to big plays.
Wait, I think the Li Ming's pick is smarter than the solo laner right now, because TMG Red have already shown that they want the Li Ming for time. And if they picked up Dahaka here, then Red would have picked up Li Ming in these next picks. So instead, they locked in the Li Ming early, and they're going to last pick the Dahaka, I believe. But we'll have to see. TMG Red with the Medivh and Johanna. They see that Li Ming. They see that Grey Mane burst potential. They want Hanzo to live. There's the Medivh pick. That's not what I expected here. I expected it last game, but we see it here.
I wondered if it would be an off-the-wall pick. I'm not going to say Medivh is off the wall, but he's definitely a specialist. He is a hero that has a very unique play style and gets most of his value when the entire team play to that hero's benefit. Anytime you take Medivh in a competitive setting, you're displaying confidence, because a discombobulated team that doesn't get value out of the shields or the portals, it's going to be hard to justify that pick if they can't synchronize them.
No, you're absolutely right. But if they can, that's going to be a very difficult to kill Johanna, difficult to kill Sonya. And I don't know if they can reasonably get onto the Hanzo as long as Hanzo plays properly. But that being said, I do think that Oh My Science, okay, they go with the Arthas over the Dahaka, eh? Interesting. And I guess they just want a body. That's all they want. They want a body on the map. Arthas can do pretty well into the Sonya. You know, no camp taking pressure or anything like that, but that's an interesting last pick.
Well, I mean, it opens up a lot of opportunities for Grey Mane and Li Ming. Anytime someone's caught out of position, a new Brack burrows in, the Arthas route can easily follow up after that. Magic missiles and orbs aren't going to be too far behind. It puts a lot of onus, in my opinion, on the Medivh player to land those shields at the right moment to negate that burst. Otherwise, somebody's waiting to respawn.
You're right. The burrow and impale goes in onto the Sonya. Do you shield that? And if you do, then the Howling Blast is just going to hit right off of that, and then perhaps maybe the Cursed Bullet and Grey Mane combination off that. So it's like, how is this Medivh going to respond to this double engage potential of Oh My Science? That's yet to be determined.
It's going to be an interesting shell game of sorts. But here we are, game 2 of what's so far been a very impressive best of 3, potentially the last game of the night. On the left side, we have Oh My Science. Hacho's on a new Brack, Dark Chimera. It's playing Lucio. Suryu's on Arthas. Battery's playing Li Ming. And Troy Double 10 is rounding it out on Grey Mane.
And on the right in red, we got TMG Red. It's Fire Team playing the Karazim, Azariel on Hanzo, Shade playing the Sonya again, Doctor playing the Johanna, and Time, this time, on the Div.
Well played, well played. And it looks like TMG Red, both teams ready to just run it down mid.
Yep. TMG with a lot of vision too. There's the Sonic Arrow, and then of course Medivh's vision is absolutely unbelievable. So a lot of vision for TMG.
It's gonna be really hard for a Nubrak to land that surprise engagement that we were talking about going into the game, considering that vision. But Time apparently has a DC.
He's gonna portal back into the game pretty soon, though. No worries.
Time has left the game.
That's okay.
Looking at the talents though. Now, Carla, I didn't specifically look last game, but Karazim went for Transcendence this time.
Huh, okay. So they just want the additional healing. Again, they're just looking... That is interesting. I thought they for sure just went the Karazim just... Wait a second. Yeah, no, they probably... I thought they just went the Karazim for the race potential, but obviously not. They're looking for the higher amount of sustain too, with the Medivh to alleviate the burst potential from All My Science. So I kind of like it. It's definitely different. What I'm mainly looking at though is Greymane's build. That's something I haven't seen in a very long time.
You know, the last time I saw Viciousness use the great effect, and you'll appreciate this, was when I was watching Glaurung stream, like months ago. At least 6 months ago. The ability to refresh on the Inner Beast. That's interesting. That's interesting.
Ability damage refreshes the duration. So, I mean, if you play it properly, you know, your W can be, or Inner Beast can be up for a very long period of time. But I don't know if it's better than Cocktail, especially considering how Cocktail hits everybody and you're playing against a bunch of people and it's a heavy front line. You got the Karazim, you got the Sonya, you got the Johanna. You're wanting to hit that back line and Medivh has no way of stopping that burst. So I'm not sure if that was the right call here, but Troy1010 knows what he's doing and I'm sure he's played this build before.
Absolutely. I mean, and another thing to consider is that they're going up against a relatively immobile front line, which would make it that much easier in the well plays for the Cocktail. But we'll see.
Pacho looking for
a lot of engagement going on at Doc. He's going to get the shield, he's going to get the portal, and he's out of dodge.
Of course, you're playing into the Greymane, so, or sorry, you're playing into a Medivh, so chances of you getting a pick is very, very small. Fire team there, also with the additional sustain, so TMG Red are going nowhere. So, Oh My Science pushing up, just trying to get lane priority in this bottom.
I'm really curious to see how this top lane plays. I feel like Sonya versus Arthas is one of the most interesting 1v1 matchups in the current meta. And a lot of it comes down to raw technical ability and timing your abilities to get the maximum amount of value. Nice burrow goes in. There's the Impale to follow up. Protected, by the way. Zara's going to be able to walk out.
Yeah, Troy1010 actually taking a lot of damage. Those structures just chunking out the Greymane. Here comes the portal. They're looking for more. Hotcho actually just manages to walk away, and Battery also chunked out. So taps having to be spent there for Oh My Science. A little bit of an advantage now going over to Red.
I would have been Monka Omega seeing that portal come down if I'm Troy1010. I'm like, all right, guys. Trading him back. Well, wait, there's this portal right here. This can get a little awkward. You're definitely going to have to watch out for this Medivh play this game.
And of course, Redemption is the talent for Hanzo, so he is looking to step up to stack that ability, get multiple auto attacks onto enemy heroes, and with the Medivh, it does become a little bit easier to do. So TMG Doctor now just walked to the bottom side to check to make sure that Troy1010 wasn't doing the camp because Medivh wasn't there. So nice job to make sure that the enemy wasn't taking that bottom siege camp.
Zarya hanging out in the flank, trying to get that poke in, but so far we see full health bars thanks to the consistent healing from Lucio. One thing that I'm really curious about with this matchup as far as compositions go is the shield from Medivh going to buy Hanzo and Sonya enough time to land lethal damage going into the lane?
We will have to find out. I do think right here that Red is gaining the trade because this siege camp is neutral and Oh My Science are trading out their bruiser camp for it. Does Red have enough time to pick up their bruiser camp? Maybe they can even, well, they can't get into 50% obviously because it spawns aggressively, but if they can't get it, then I do think that the trade goes in on my science. But it looks like, yeah, it looks like they're gonna abandon their bruiser camp. So I like what All My Science is doing here with the waves.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of surprised at the decision from TMG Red to let the bruiser camp push, albeit it is going to be offset by the siege camp, but this becomes a prolonged progression. They could lose out. Nice macro situation that All My Science put them in. And they got ahead in the race, too.
Yep, and before level 7, I do think that Oh My Science win the race quite heavily, actually. So, and we saw that right there. The immediate rotation, Oh My Science with the Greymane just picking up the damage onto the Immortal, and of course that trade is going in their favor. So, just a raw trade here. Oh My Science picking up the first Immortal. Meanwhile, Bot is pushed out too. Immortal is going to be going topside.
What always is interesting to me in competitive heroes are moments like this, Kala, when both teams make decisions where you can just tell they know how the next 45 seconds of the game are going to play out.
Yeah.
It looked like Team Jared's like, all right, let the bruiser camp push. We're going to lose the race, but we'll knock down the shield and let's just get ready for the defense. And I can
appreciate that. Yeah, they're TMG Red just looking for level 7 for those race opportunities. They will win at that point with the Hanzo as long as they play it properly. Maybe even Johanna can go over and just get a cheeky blind onto the Greymane to really halt that damage potential onto the Immortal. We'll have to see how Red play it out, but I do think that they have the option to win the race.
So far, the defense is in there for TMG Red. The Immortal should be able to lay waste to that top well. There's going to be some sustain out the window for the solo laner up there. But overall, I'd say this is a relatively successful push for Oh My Science. No one's out of position yet on the side of the red team. But the blue team, while the minions are here and eating the tower shots, they're seeing what they can find.
Yeah, TMG Red need to push up and clear this wave post-haste as they do. Fort down to half health, so really nice push by Oh My Science with a very low shield Immortal, so really good job by the blue team.
I'd also point out the placement of that last orb. Sometimes you have to send out those zoning orbs where if the enemy team does want to advance, they're going to right up and take one on the chin. Or if they see that, they have to back away, and all that does is secure your own team's disengagement. I like stuff like that.
Yeah, and Seryu in the bottom lane is doing a really good job against the Sonya, especially considering how it's a war paint, so high sustained Sonya. Meanwhile, topside, this is a pretty intense skirmish going on for this siege camp.
Beautifully timed Iron Skin saves Johanna from eating that burrow, stunned from a noob wreck. Kala, I'm gonna need you to control one and look at Greymane's build.
Greymane, where are you, sir? Yeah, that's an interesting one. That's an auto attack Greymane, that is. And I don't know, man. I got nothing for you. That's a very, very interesting build. Maybe he's just looking at sustained backline damage because he's not really going to get any kills diving in against the likes of the Medivh. Is that the thought process here?
Very well could be. The boot from Dark Chimera almost bought enough time to deny the portal escape, but they are going to be able to jump in there. Both these teams are level 7 now, like you said, Colin. The race potential now goes through the roof thanks to this Hanzo talent.
And unfortunately, because of the push top from Oh My Science, TMG Red again weren't able to grab their bruiser camp. So just falling behind here in every which way, and Azariel just not having the right angles to get the race. It's like he actually only got one real solid W on that Immortal. So if TMG can maybe 4-man stall while Hanzo just solo races, is that a possibility?
It could happen. We'll see how they decide to play it. Both teams look to just race one way or the other. It's getting a heck of a lot more close than I thought it would be. In fact, Colin, looks like some geometry was pulled off for Hanzo. Here we go.
And as I was saying, that's the race potential. They were down on the 50, but they managed to pick it up because Hanzo actually got in a good position, was able to just spam his W, and that was without Johanna getting any defensive blinds. So nice job by TMG Red for recognizing the win condition of their composition and executing it properly.
Absolutely. Both these teams rounding the bend of level 9. Red team Immortals already lost its shield. Doctor's trying to move up, seeing if he can land an enabling condemn. Orb goes out, gets a decent amount of poke damage in there. Looks like they're going to go through this top wall and a bit more. Nice slow. Dark Chimera gets dangerously low on health, actually, but it's going to be able to back up.
Hanzo just doing a wealth of damage here. So underneath structures like that, we saw those scatter arrows on the bottom structures just ricocheting up and doing crazy damage. TMG Red actually now deciding to take the bruiser camp instead of picking it up during the Immortal phase. Interesting choice for sure. Perhaps they're going to just be pushing out top with it.
Curious timing, all things considered. Most teams usually want to pick up the bruiser camp as an offset push during the objective itself.
Yeah.
This taking it now means that option is 100% off the board. But it might mean that they're looking to pull the trigger on engagement down bottom. We'll see.
Yeah, and currently TMG do have worse positioning when it comes to the Immortals, because we do see the Heavenly Immortal spawning top. We'll see if the rotation comes through for TMG Red to position more in the middle side of the map off of this clear bottom. Meanwhile, Arthas is top, taking a bit of damage to the camp, but still managing to clear it without any hassle. So honestly, that bruiser camp going pretty much wasted. Here's the engage.
Hanzo from beyond the three-point line lands the stun, and the follow-up damage is enough to silence the DJ. 8.5 minutes into the game, we finally have first blood in favor of TMG Red, and they are not taking their foot off the gas pedal, Kyle. They want this bottom wall.
So while that hard camp didn't actually take anything top, it forced a body up there. TMG recognize it, they stay bottom, they find the kill. Excellent job by TMG, and now they're going to have the momentum here to get racing before Oh My Science, as long as they're able to position out on the map on the top side here, and it looks like they are. Li Ming is nowhere to be contributing damage to this Immortal race.
Innovations like that in the meta are something that's very interesting and exciting to see here in the amateur scene. Doctor could potentially find himself surrounded by a field of blue health bars, but shield from Medivh helps him get out and escape almost certain death. Cocoon goes in onto Medivh. There's the impale, there's the stun, and Sonya gets sacrificed to the Angel Immortal. Ouch.
Yeah, TMG Red playing pretty fast here, and then the Immortal stuns obviously just absolutely dominating TMG, so the engage is continuing. There goes the Polymorph, but TMG just managed to walk away, but they definitely got the upper hand on that trade. Meanwhile, bottom side, Troy1010 is attempting the race, but look at his aerial. He's making the sneaky rotation. There's the auto, here's the W, but he's in trouble.
Hanzo trying to get some value, but the long-range burp, there's the tail afterwards, and rooted. Shield comes in from Medivh there to save him. Or not. Hanzo's gonna get blown up with the follow-up damage from Li Ming. Battery says hi and sends his regards.
And we mentioned that play potential, right? There was the engage from Anub'arak, the stun, or sorry, the root from Arthas, and the shield came on the root. But then off of that, as soon as the shield dropped, boom, there's the Li Ming spells. That's a dead archer.
The follow-up consistent damage is there. It's like, hey, I put a portal down, I gave you a shield, and they still relentlessly pursue you. That rabbit tenacity starting to pay dividends for Oh My Science. They're going to pick up the third Immortal of the game. Decent amount of shields left on it still. This could potentially be the first fort of the game.
Ah, that was so close for TMG. Let me tell you, like they played top side too fast. They wanted to hit that 50% too fast, but they already had a 25% lead. All they had to do was disengage with the Medivh there, and then they could just re-engage maybe off of pushing top side, but they didn't recognize the condition. They're playing a little too hasty. TMG paid for it.
This is something that we saw from the last game. This is another instance where potentially nerves are coming into play. A nice orb connects on the time. There's the follow-up stun. The shield goes out. Shish Kebab continuing to apply pressure. Portal's out. Time's gone. Sound barrier is going to drop as the bottom port continues to fall. Sound barrier got a decent amount of value. Time is back to business. Troy1010 hanging out in the flank, though. This could get real.
Doctor taking a little bit of damage. Fort goes down, but this is going to be a swift D push for TMG Red. And now this map is fairly equal, you know, just one fort going over to Oh My Science, but nothing, you know, worth mentioning, really. TMG looking for a re-engage. Here's the combination on a Hot Joe, and they do find him with the Medivh portal.
Doctor with the Steve Rogers impersonation and a long-range arrow. Troy1010 out the hard way. The Hanzo can stun.
From downtown, as you say. This is definitely a hard camp invade, so TMG taking away resources as much as they can. Really good job on that re-engage with the Medivh. They found the kills they needed, and now pressure is going to be swinging in their sides. They really need to just paint this map red as much as they can so they can get that position, so they can get that race.
Dude, that Hanzo stun came in from Dragonshire on the last map. Both of these teams are now level 13, however. Urticating Spines. Talent of choice for an Anub'arak. Neat.
Okay, I see you. And then like a E-build here for the Sonya just to try to survive as long as she can. You know, with the likes of the Healing Spec Karazim and the Medivh, I actually think it's going to be really powerful. And also into the Arthas. I think that's actually a really good choice.
Absolutely, and it also could be a potential bait. They try to hard shut down Sonya. Oh no, find himself kind of on an island.
Hanzo can do massive damage here.
Nicely done. Follows up. There's the stun. There's the polymorph. The sheep gets shaved.
Okay, here we go. Immediate rotation from all my sides to invade enemy hards. Now, can they get a race advantage? Again, oh, Troy actually backed instead. But, okay, no, he stopped. Fantastic. Can TMG just find a pick here or just find the rotation to actually get some damage onto this Immortal while they have a chance? They do have the numbers advantage.
This is the makings of a team who know how to respond to potential short-term losses. You lose Arthas, but you make the snap decision to go over there and steal away the Bruiser Camp. Sensational shot calling from Oh My Science. I like plays like that a lot.
Yeah, and it pulled Sonya up in order to deal with it. But meanwhile, here comes the teleport in, and actually the Cocoon got ripped onto Medivh. Look where he is. TMG need to push in to protect this Medivh.
Could they follow up? Hot Show does not decide to burrow or impale. Not sure if the abilities were available. Doctor out in the flank. Allows Medivh to go in there. Eats a good amount of damage, but the shield connects. Armor is lowered for the moment. Dark Chimera, though, out in the flank, hanging out. Eats the stun, eats the polymorph. No sound barrier for you. The day the music died.
What a combination. The stun on top, but actually on the top side here. Oh, the amazing portal. Team Doctor just putting on a clinic. Did you see that portal play? What a fantastic play by the Johanna. And now Red are just going to be able to push in and take this Immortal, and it's going to be a very, very healthy Immortal.
I see what you did there, Kyler. Doctor putting on a clinic.
There you go. There you go. Perhaps Doctor disrespected a little bit.
Oh, got him. But halftime is kicked off, and this is going to be a healthy shield in favor of TMG Red. And this could be the first substantial push we see in the game. Bottom four was taken down on the red side, but this could look to even that score up and then some. This is the first time, Kyler, we're going to see a healthy shielded Immortal this game.
Yeah, and that was immediate back from all these team members just to grab mana. But that is going to give Oh My Science a little bit of an opportunity to position up, perhaps, and maybe just get a bit of damage on it. Nah, it looks like the Immortal's going to come down just in time. So TMG is there for the Immortal push. This is going to be a big moment in this game.
Absolutely. Polymorph back up. Hanzo, everyone's heroics are on board. Level 16 after this bottom four should get picked up first. The long range portal doesn't exactly go the way TMG Red wanted it to go. Lost the stun from Hanzo. There's the polymorph. He's going to force Suryu to spread away from his team. Protected, by the way, goes in onto shield back. Doctor starts to back away. Still shields on this Immortal, though. They're looking for this bottom keep.
That is true. It was just a very interesting choice to engage before 16s hit, and they blew 4 heroics before they even hit level 16. So I think Red, again, just prematurely engaged there, but they are getting a lot of what they want. All they want to do is open up this map, and this is a full health Immortal. They want this keep so badly, Lawrence.
Absolutely. A lot of damage going in on Suryu, and no sound barrier available. Arthas drops his sword. The bottom keep is eating a boatload of damage. There's the Condemn, closes out a new wreck, and Kyle, I was like, oh, this could be the bottom keep wall. This could be the game.
Yep. Battery steps up too much. There's the portal. Doctor finds another one. There's the polymorph on top of Dark Chimera, but it isn't enough to secure a kill. But look at these health bars on Oh My Science. TMG Red have their sights on the core, and they have damage coming in. Can they survive here?
Yeah, Battery's doing all kinds of calculations to see who has the lowest health bar so you can get some cooldown resets, but the poke is enough, actually, to save the game for Oh My Science. Portal goes in, they jump out. I thought they could have been there personally.
If they got the extra pick, I really do think that would have been a possibility. They risked dying on the keep if they didn't find it, and they just decided it was worth it to just pull away. They have the experience advantage. Now they have the map pressure advantage. I think Red are just looking at maybe hitting that level 20 option with their composition and just closing out the game that way. They're going to be very hard to kill at that point.
This is going to make the rest of this game a very dicey prospect for Oh My Science. They're going to have to deal with catapults for the rest of the game. Siege Camp was picked up more as a stalling gesture, I feel, just to take the option off the board. Now we're going to see TMG Red move up top and take the Siege Camp as well. And they already stole away the one on the other side of the map, so right now they're just trying to control the pressure.
Yeah, and I think Oh My Science recognize it. Yeah, they are rotating out of the top side, but of course, there's so many vision tools for Red. It's difficult for Oh My Science to find a pick, but of course, that is what they're looking for. They want to find that pick. They rotate top, they're clearing out top side. They're going to probably do the same thing bottom. I was going to say, I would expect Red at this point to just hold on to this camp and just set up some vision, wait for the enemy team to approach in, and then cap it at like the 20-second mark, but they actually just completely wasted this camp.
Yeah, the value out of that is going to be -4 at this point, and TMG Red are in a position where the world is effectively their oyster. If they just hang out and allow the catapults to apply pressure, sooner or later that's going to have to be responded to, and then that's when TMG Red can be aggressive. It's going to put a lot on the shoulders of Oh My Science to move in and make something happen sooner rather than later, and this could be the beginnings of that.
But hey, if Red decide to fight underneath the Immortal of Oh My Science, that's the exact condition that Oh My Science is looking for. There goes the Cocoon. Here comes the counter engage.
Johanna gets roughed up thanks to the Immortal stun going in there for the 6-man award. Sound barrier goes down to further secure the advantage in this team fight. 7-sided strike goes in onto the bases, but the impale connects with Medivh. The portal is left there for posterity. Fire team tries to jump over to Zario, gets the cleanse, doesn't cleanse himself, and Lucio reaches over the wall. Ouch.
Okay, Red actually is such a fantastic team. They just need to get there. They need to wrap their head around the specifics of the macro game in Heroes of the Storm, and they are going to see so much success. What they did there with the hard camp, what they did there with just like forcing a fight on their opponents when they're the ones with map pressure. Look at bottom. There's 3 katas on the core. If they just spent time waiting, look what Battery's doing. He would have had the back, or else that would have been core damage. So TMG Red were in a perfect spot, but they just forced way too fast. And now they've got the 50 to Mortal, and there's still 20-second death timers on 2 members. This is such a huge moment for Oh My Science.
This is a big opportunity. TMG might want to head over to community coach. The concept of the win condition, because they had no reason. I 100% agree with you. They did not have to press the issue there at all, and they ended up paying for it. Suryu eats a lot of damage thanks to the Poison Spear. Wrath and Berserk goes out, and now they want to play the defense in the game, but is it too little too late? Battery's throwing damage over the wall safely. Troy's getting value of that level 7 talent. This is going to be a huge opportunity for us.
That's so close. Oh My Science really just need to get this little bit of damage dealt if they can, but they're just... so close. They're 4,500 damage away from really securing a win. But look at this top side. Red got a little bit greedy. They wanted to get damage onto the Immortal. Oh My Science see it. They rip the Cocoon top. They actually get the Immortal off of the Cocoon. What a fantastic play by Oh My Science.
I take that trade 9 times out of 9. I mean, the second timer to secure a potential game-ending push to close out the best of 3. Thanks. I thought Christmas was last month, but this could be the final push of the game. But look at this. TMG Red waiting in the wings. If anyone on the squishier side of things gets caught out of position, they're gone.
TMG are the Sharks. Look at this engagement. Lauren, what's happening?
Blood Shield goes out. Troy 10-10 is going to catch the sound barrier. Greymane trying to turn back into things. The root goes in on the fire team. Polymorph goes out. Spreads out onto Arthas, not to the rest of the team. Fire team's going to be able to jump out of there. Doctor low on health. Has the Iron Skin available to him. Could potentially get turned on. Gets jumped on. Can't get to the portal. And that could spell big trouble.
The Cocoon is still up. He can just completely dive in here, rip the Cocoon, and actually find kills here. Watch this Hacho play. The Immortal is still full health. Oh My Science are pushing in. There's the Cocoon onto Medivh, but no follow-up yet. There's the root. Damage goes on to time, and Medivh goes down. Oh My Science looking at pushing in. They have the full shield Immortal. Haloran, this is a game that just got turned right on its head.
Near frame perfect reaction time after the Cocoon is going to open up a lot of opportunity to save the refuge. Oh My Science, the core is going down, 7-sided strike going out, but I think it's all too little too late, Collar. Oh My Science, come back in resounding fashion and show why they want to find themselves in the Crucible at the first half of the year, and they win HeroesHype Amateur Series number 93.
Pick Leeming into Medivh, make really good plays. I turn around the game, pick Archon, by the way. Debated. Archon to close out the game. Wow. What an amazing turnaround by Oh My Science. Like, actually... oh my gosh. Okay, there's so much I want to say about this. Okay, Oh My Science played that That cocoon was so perfect when Hanzo showed on the top immortal and he started racing to try to get some of that damage done, and cocoon just walks, or Nubrak just walks up and just cocoons him. That guarantees the 4v5, right? So a member of Red have to actually rotate up there, and if they do, then they give a 5v3, but they're not willing to do that. So then Oh My Science immediately go onto the immortal, get that last 4,500 damage, and then they get the pretty much full shield immortal late game like that. That is a formidable foe indeed. What plays by Oh My Science. But at the same time, I feel like that game was 100% Reds if they found those win conditions and just played those immortals properly. Red is so very close to being an insanely powerful team.
I'm with you 100%. I'm taking nothing away from the performance of Oh My Science. It takes precision to be able to capitalize on the opportunities that they were afforded. But in a lot of ways, Kyle, I feel like TMG Red lost that game more than Oh My Science won it. They had the bottom keep. All they had to do was wait, defend their immortal, the catapult to move across the map. Someone would have had to go back and clear it out, and then you've got a guaranteed 4v5. Take the team fight then. Instead, they play right into what Oh My Science were looking to do, and Oh My Science, they're a good team. Like they're going to capitalize on every opportunity you give them. I think this could be a potential milestone for TMG Red. Like you said, they have a ton of potential, but I hope they walk away from this game like we can't make that mistake again.
Nope. You watch this team. Let me tell you, you watch this team by the end of the year, or even you just watch these players, or by the end of like the next 3, 4, 5 months. You just wait. They are going to be so powerful. Excellent display by Red, but Oh My Science just, you can't speak enough about how they played from the back foot for most of that game, right? Like, and they're playing against a Medivh. That's not something that's easy to play against. And that Sonya had such high survivability with the extra healing from Karazim, with that E build against the Arthas, right? Like, so many good things from Red that were actually really difficult for Oh My Science to deal with. But man, I can't speak enough about that play near the end there. Like, actually so good by Oh My Science. That cocoon was perfect.
It's impressive. It's definitely inspiring. And we're actually going to get a chance to speak with Troy of Oh My Science. Should be able to hear from him shortly.
Excellent.
I definitely want to pick his brain. His great main play was a joy to watch. He does a lot of damage on the heroes we saw him on tonight. So without any further ado, I guess we can bring him on in here. Troy 1010. Congratulations on your victory. You win the first HeroesHype of the year. You guys, I'm sure, have been practicing pretty steadily going out of 2017 into 2018. How does it feel to see results like this?
It's really exciting. I had a lot of fun playing. Just results like this. I mean, yeah, it was a great game. It was well fought on both sides.
Absolutely. I mean, something that Kyle and I have been giving you guys praises for is your ability to respond well under pressure, especially in instances where you guys start to fall behind. Is that something that you would attribute to just the overall character of the team, or is the shot caller and overall decision maker really keeping the team grounded as a whole to be able to find these opportunities to get back into the game?
It's funny. I think I don't know. I think it's just something as a team we all focus on a lot. Like we're all paying attention. Like, hey, like let's make sure that we don't, let our emotions affect us pretty much. And I think it's showing successfully up right here.
Absolutely.
I had a question about your Greymane build. Could you just explain it in general? Why you chose to go with that build specifically on that map?
It's essentially the same thing about if their intention is to Medivh the target, all right. So as you saw in the games, when the game started out, we were losing, and it was because for some reason, and we thought it would be a good idea to focus one target. Like that was our original thought process, and that was wrong. But by the end of the game, we snapped back into just attack whatever targets nearby, spread the damage as much as you can, and the cocktail build would have done that as well. But I just I know I can do it with the auto attack build as well. So I
You're
just
feeling something a little
it's
different.
a little comfortable. Yeah.
All right, I appreciate that. Wow, one more thing I just wanted to mention to you. It's not so much of a question, actually, kind of twofold. Who is your like be all end all shot caller?
It's a group effort. It's mainly Battery and Harrison working together. They just but how do I describe it? Yeah, well, I guess that's the best way to describe it. They're just working together, shot calling. But as you know, as a lot of pro teams have told you, is people can't make shot calls unless the rest of the team is communicating. So it's a group effort.
Yeah, so there's information feeders, and then usually people that dictate the rotations and stuff like that. But couple things I wanted to point out about that game. When Arthas got picked topside and the rest of your teammates just decided to immediately invade enemy hards, I want you guys to go back and watch that replay if you have an opportunity to, and just watch how effective that immediate call was. And just give a what's the word?
That was Battery. That was Battery.
Okay, congratulate him on that, because doing that forced the Sonya to go and de-push, which meant that your opponents didn't actually get the race that they should have gotten off the Arthas pick. So that, and then, oh my gosh, that cocoon at the end of the game onto the Hanzo. Like, that's one of like the better plays I've seen from an amateur team in my entire life. And I'm not just like pumping your tires. Like, that was so smart.
Harrison was super hyped about it on comms.
Insane.
Like he called the entire thing. He was like, "I'm cocooning the Hanzo. We're doing this. We're doing that." And fucking,
Dude,
we
so
did it. So.
I'm actually like getting shivered. Like, I got goose pimples. Like, that was so good, man. Like, I see a lot of Heroes of the Storm, right? I'm in scrims every day, and that was unbelievable. If I saw that in a Tempo Storm game, dude, I'd be buying cattle a beer. That's for sure.
To hear that someone on that team made that call and it was executed to that level of play exemplifies the potential of competitive Heroes of the Storm. So yeah, I'm right there with you, Kyle. That was impressive. The last question I have for you, Troy, I just kind of want to jump into the mindset that you guys have going into an actual series, because best of one, it's like we beat the team, we move on. But best of three, you're seeing the opponent more than once. In the first game, TMG Red were using Li Ming to great effect. The burst damage was definitely something to overcome out of the early game going into the mid game. Li Ming is also a hero that does really well on Battlefield of Eternity. Did you guys choose Li Ming for her ability to do well on the map? Or was it to deny that hero from TMG Red? Or was it a mixture of both?
That was a mixture of both, absolutely. We've done Li Ming Greymane on that map before, but we also knew that that was why. Look, they locked in Hanzo early, and we were like, okay, they're not gonna Li Ming Hanzo, right? And at that point, we were like, so we don't need to lock in Li Ming now. Like, okay, because it wasn't a little bit of both, actually. We chose Li Ming for us because we knew that they weren't going to take it. They weren't going to go Hanzo Li Ming. Doesn't make sense to me, But what we were concerned about is they were going to ban it on the second phase. We were really concerned that they were going to ban Li Ming. We wouldn't be able to take it, and they didn't ban it. So we got it.
Cool. Thanks for answering. Now, I'm always curious to hear what kind of decision making goes on and stuff like that. We have a lot of people interested in competitive heroes at the amateur level. So hearing that kind of insight is helpful and helps grow the community. So thanks for answering that. And again, congratulations, man. You guys put up a heck of a performance. You keep playing like that, we're going to see a lot more of you guys. Any shout outs you want to give?
Hey, thanks for letting me know. Well, of course, I'm going to shout out my team. They work so hard. As I was reading a lot of what other teams were doing and what the problems were, just investigating, just teamwork in general, I found that a lot of the complaints from other teams is that people aren't being professional enough, like people aren't taking this seriously enough. And it just made me reflect. I was just like, wow, everyone on my team is taking this incredibly seriously, and I'm lucky to have that. So yeah,
that's awesome, man. Any last bits for him, Kala?
No, but just hearing that makes me very, very happy. Somebody who's been around the amateur scene for a very, very long time, and I've worked with a lot of teams. Knowing that you guys are putting an emphasis on the professionalism is fantastic, and I think that's only just going to prove to be a huge asset for any amateur teams or open division teams and stuff like that. Because if you guys are on the top, everybody has to rise to your level in order to compete with you. And with that, it means you get better teams, you get better players, you get better atmosphere. So as iron sharpens iron, another sharpens another, right? I think that's fantastic.
Sweet.
Congratulations, man. You guys keep playing like that, and we will continue to be entertained. For now, man, congratulations, dude.
Yeah, see you next time.
See ya.
Take it easy.
See ya.
Kala, this is the first Heroes Hype of the year, and the bar just continues to be raised by the level of competitive play.
Yep.
He said that they strive for professional level seriousness. Open Division hasn't even started yet. So this team has ambition. They have drive. They want this. And for the scene, for North America, I love seeing that kind of ambition from the amateur scene. That's great.
Me too. The speed at which these teams made their calls and the accuracy of the calls lets me honestly say that these games, this is the first series, and as you said, it's not even like the Open Division or anything like that, or it shows that this was at least 80% of the skill level that we saw in the Heroes Hype Tempo Storm Grand Finals, which was very, very strong amateur teams. So the fact that I can say that honestly is amazing for the amateur scene.
Very much so. That's going to round it out for us, though. An incredible start to 2018 for Heroes Hype. I'm excited for the future of the amateur scene. We could have very well been talking to the next star of the HGC in about 6 months. We'll see.
Ooh, let's
go.
go.
For now, my name is Lauren. It's been my absolute pleasure to cast with the Foxhunt, the Kitsune of Heroes, the community coach, neighborhood-friendly Kalamaka.
Thanks so much, man. And thanks, HeroesHype, for having me. And thank you all for being here, watching the games. You support the amateur scene. And it just does nothing but amazing things for these players. So appreciate it.
Thanks to you, Kala. Thanks to everyone at HeroesHype working behind the scenes. Vivens did a great job on production tonight. Argy holding down the obs, all the admins working behind the scene to make sure that this is the well-oiled machine that it is. You have my eternal gratitude. For now, we're going to call it a night. Show up here next Wednesday, see some more action just like this. Tuesdays at 9 Eastern, we got a HeroesHype Live. Folks in the scene like Battery of Oh My Science. And Sundays, I believe, we're still doing stuff so we can see some amateur scene, action rising out of there. We're going worldwide, baby. But for now, we're going to call it a night. Thank you guys so much. Take it easy.